डायरेक्टर और हेड मेडिसिन डिपार्टमेंट जीएसएम मेडिकल कॉलेज कानपुर के हैं। दोनों चेयरपर्सन के लिए जोरदार तालियां।
Today's speaker, Professor Navneet Kumar, a neurologist par excellence, Dean and Principal of the Medical College Kanpur, needs no introduction to this gathering. Besides being an astute clinician, he has in the recent years proved to be a very good administrator, as is evidenced by overall improvement and development in LLR Hospital and Medical College. It is in the fitness of things that he has chosen epilepsy as a subject to talk today, in which he has published very informative and up-to-date books. It is highly advisable that the healthcare professionals
सभी डेलीगेट्स से अनुरोध है कि अभी रुके रहें।
should assess
आप सभी लोग अपनी
the
सीट पे बैठ
impact
जाएं।
of psychiatric and physical changes and impact on patients with seizures to improve healthcare outcome. Now I invite Professor Navneet Kumar to deliver his talk.
और इससे पूर्व हम स्वागत करना चाहेंगे अपने चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर एस एन अग्रवाल जी का। हमारी अंजलि कृपया डॉक्टर एस एन अग्रवाल जी का पुष्पगुच्छ द्वारा स्वागत करें। कुमारी नीलिमा प्रोफेसर राकेश चंद्रा का एक पुष्पगुच्छ द्वारा स्वागत करें और अनुरोध है प्रोफेसर नवनीत कुमार जी से कि अपना टॉक प्रारंभ करें और सभी लोग अपने स्थान।
Honorable chairpersons, my colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, after such a thought-provoking subject of obesity, which concerns I think most of us, the next topic on epilepsy is also not less important, mainly because we have had enough discussions on diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, strokes, but epilepsy, remember, affects 1% people in the country. And the disease is bad because this puts a lot of pressure on the family members and also a great source of embarrassment for the patient as well. In today's workshop, seminar on traditional medicine, I think epilepsy has also something to do with that because the many methods and naturopathy also by which you can control the best possible treatment given to you, a patient, by the physician. So before I talk about epilepsy, I will just tell you what epilepsy is. The second part, obviously very short, concise, will be the social problems which we encounter. And third, what we all can do for the patients who suffer with epilepsy. Epilepsy or Mirgi was discovered for the first time 4000 before Christ. And it was something which was thought to be a disease by some demons or by some outer forces which captures the patient, and because of that person becomes unconscious, has bizarre movements, has frothing from the mouth and can pass urine or stool in the clothes. Before I go further, I'll tell you that seizure, जिसको हम दौरा कहते हैं, which is a one-time event which can occur in any one of us. And remember, then 10% of us will have a seizure or one dora in our lifetime. But when these seizures become recurrent, it is called as epilepsy or Mirgi. Now this child is just lying on the couch and you can see that he has got sometimes bizarre movements of his feet and the arm, just like that. They're very, very bizarre and very subtle, which is a special type of epilepsy which occurs due to encephalitis. Epilepsy was obviously described in our own Charak Samhita, although Hippocrates had described for the first time before Christ, 400 years before Christ, and he said, the disease, it's not a curse, but a brain disorder. Now, these figures show that 50 million people are suffering with epilepsy. That would mean that 5 crore people are suffering in the world with epilepsy. In our own country, we have about 6 to 10 million patients. And the Kanpur city, with a population of 5 million, will be having 50,000 patients of epilepsy. The problem is that due to ignorance, due to myths, and due to the impression of embarrassment, 25% patients only come for the treatment and 75% patients of epilepsy don't come for the treatment. So therefore, there is a big gap which is called as treatment gap. Then, developing countries, the poor nations have a higher incidence of epilepsy. There are in fact the 4 important causes. The first is the birth injuries. When the child is born, the oxygen supply may be slightly delayed for the child, which can lead to brain damage and lead to seizures. Sometimes during a late birth, obstructed labor, forceps delivery, which obviously is not being done anymore now. These injuries to the small child's brain can lead to a permanent sequelae of a seizure form. Then, second important condition, a cause which you all should be aware of, the students who are here, is that the road accidents, road injuries. When you're traveling with a two-wheeler, don't wear a helmet and you had a fall. And suppose you have a mild head injury, which can lead to a seizure within 6 months. And that can become permanent unless you get this treatment. The third important cause of epilepsy in our society is the infections like malaria and the tapeworm. You had a nice, very brainstorming session by Dr. Anup Mishra recently when he talked about the diet in the food. Remember, when we eat vegetables, if it is not properly washed, then the tapeworm eggs are there in the food, the salad, green salad, dhania, patti, gajar ke pattiyan, and these things, which you eat unknowingly, and that particular eggs can go to your system, which lodge in your intestine, and then can lead to growth of the tapeworm, or this can lead to cystic cerci in the brain, and that brain condition is known as neurocystic sarcosis, which is 33% is the cause of epilepsy in our society today. And obviously, as I told you, the fourth cause has to be the lack of proper medical infrastructure, which can lead to a big treatment gap and can lead to epilepsy. However, many conditions which are mimicking epilepsy to be remembered. A person may suddenly have a fall, which may not be epilepsy. A person may suddenly be unconscious due to a frightful scene, due to hypoglycemia, due to prolonged stress or lack of sleep, can also have a fall. It's not epilepsy. Well, so therefore, before we start the treatment for epilepsy, you should be sure that the person or the person concerned does not suffer with the disease of epilepsy, which may require a treatment for 3 to 5 years. Now this child is sitting just comfortably, and the child has very subtle hand movements in the right hand, and you will also see that he also has facial twitchings on the face on the right side. Here you can see that. The child is not unconscious, he's just sitting comfortably, but he has got, both the hands are having movements like that, with the facial twitchings. This child, although he doesn't lose the consciousness, but may still be having an epilepsy. So as I told you earlier, that birth injuries, the road traumas, the infections like meningitis, encephalitis, malaria, tapeworm, and brain tumors can lead to epilepsy development. Epilepsy is two types. The first is a focal epilepsy, in which you have a focus in the brain on one side, and person can present with one arm or one leg movements, and then it's followed by unconsciousness. Or the person may have a generalized epilepsy, in which you have a mid-centric focus, and person can suddenly fall and can become unconscious, which can be a generalized epilepsy. However, in about 10% patients, we are not able to differentiate whether a person is suffering with focal epilepsy or a generalized epilepsy. This is a very interesting case. What happens is, epilepsy is always a challenge for the physician to diagnose. And remember that even the best center in the world over, have an error rate of 10%. That would mean that we miss 10% patients who have epilepsy, or we overdiagnose 10% patients who do not have epilepsy. Now, this lady had come for our treatment, and you can see that she is having the facial twitching on the right side, and the left hand is twisted. The flexion is trying to catch hold of her sari. She looks to be a little confused, a little disoriented, but this is an attack of seizure in the patient. So the epilepsy has different presentations, very subtle, very focal, generalized, sometimes without unconsciousness also as well. Then, apart from that, the person can also have a certain jerk in the body, and he may fall or may not fall, which is called as myoclonic epilepsy. This child is being supported by his father, and he just looks comfortable, standing comfortably, but look at the head drop. Suddenly he has a dropping of the head, and if he is not held properly, then child may fall on the ground and can develop a head trauma. So therefore, this also is a patient who is having a myoclonic seizure. This epilepsy is called as myoclonic epilepsy. Look at the patient sitting comfortably in the couch. Suddenly the whole body gets a jerk, and which can be also recorded in the EEG being done at the same time. Look at the jerk the patient has. So patient may have a jerk, patient may have a drop attack, patient may have a focal movements, patient may have a sudden transient unconsciousness, and all these features are the ones which make the epilepsy, I think, very, very challenging, sometimes doubtful, and sometimes difficult. Because of that, it has been found that epilepsy accounts for 0.75% global burden of disease, which is a time-based measure that combines years of life lost due to premature mortality and time lived in less than full health. What are the myths with the epilepsy? I just discuss in short, briefly, the 8 aspects of the myths. The first is with the epilepsy myths. There's a public image is bad, there's a fear, there's a horror, there's superstition and prejudice, and erroneous belief even today, especially in the case of a girl or a woman. What happens is, in our context, in our villages, in rural areas, what happens first is, the patient is first shown to Oja, and I think subjected for a jhad strategy there in the village itself, and then he is brought to the hospital or to a specialist at a later stage. It's important that you remember that like diabetes, like hypertension, like asthma, like heart disease, like brain stroke, epilepsy is also a disease, and it is a non-communicable disorder. Therefore, it is important for all of us to understand that the disease should be diagnosed by bringing the patient to the correct specialist, and then to be followed by specific investigations. In Nepal, it has been thought that epilepsy is associated with possession of evil spirit. They feel that some outside forces have caught the patient, and because of that, he's shouting, he's abusing, he's disoriented. And then sometimes, as you all know, in Nepal, they think that this probably is an outer effect, and therefore they bring a shoe on his near the nose, make him smell it. Probably they feel that by doing so, the attack will be aborted. In Uganda, it is thought to be contagious disease. So they are not allowed to eat in the family. They are giving the food separately because they think that patient can transmit the disease by his saliva. You all know that 75% patients, the girls especially, who are to be married, have the fear in the parents that because of epilepsy, they will be rejected. They will not be married. Or if they are married, and if they are, the disease is known later on by the parents, by the in-laws, then they will be divorced. And even today's scenario, it is very true that the females are scared of getting married because if they tell the family that they have epilepsy, probably they will not be married. Let me tell you, there's certainly a change in this concept. Over the last 5 years, I have had many patients from the metro especially, who know that the family partner is going to be married, is having epilepsy. They've discussed the disease in the family together. They've come to us in the hospital, discussed at length, and they've agreed to marry. However, till 1971, there was a law that epilepsy patient will not be allowed to marry. If it is known, then there was a ground for divorce in UK also. In our country, after a long fight, in 1999, the House has passed a bill that disease of epilepsy is not a bar for the marriage of the lady, of the girl, and they are desirable to get married, there's no problem. However, they should tell the family members that the person is suffering with this disease. Apart from that, once the patient becomes pregnant after marriage, again there's a fear. They come to us and say, well, the patient is taking some drugs for epilepsy. How will it affect the child in the fetus? Well, that is also taken care. There are drugs which are safe, can be given safely to those mothers. Because of that, epilepsy drugs will not affect the child. Apart from that, vitamin K at time of birth and folic acid vitamin is given in high dosage to those patients to prevent the anomaly development in the fetus. Apart from that, at 18 weeks of pregnancy, the lady should undergo an anomaly scan at a good ultrasound center to diagnose any anomaly developing in the child. Before that, they can go for, if that happens, they can go for abortion. Otherwise, the child is normal, they can go ahead. Then employment, again, is a problem. Sometimes the employer feels that epilepsy patient is one which probably may not be suitable for his organization. As China में survey हुआ, and they have discovered that 31% respondents believed that people with epilepsy should not be employed because they can face discrimination in job market, so there is stigma for the epilepsy, and there are certain misconceptions and unfounded fears of legal and medical liability. Okay. Then driving. Driving certainly is one stage in which an epilepsy patient should not be allowed to. Many countries have got different designation for that. In other countries like this, that if you are driving, if you are having epilepsy and you're a driver, then you should have at least 6 months time of seizure-free interval. Before that, you can be allowed to drive the vehicle. However, the pilots are not permitted to fly if they have epilepsy. The swimming can be permitted for epilepsy patient, but certainly patient should be seizure-free at that point of time, and it's better that there is some family member or a coastal guard over there, that the patient when he's going for swimming should be, I think, should be able to washed carefully in the surroundings. However, the patient is having recurrent seizures, then he's not allowed to swim. Apart from that, epilepsy patients have got several other disorders, like they may have anxiety, they may have depression, and they may have brain damage due to illness like brain tumor or an injury or a head trauma or something like that. And apart from that, certain drugs also have certain side effects. Because of that, the patient can develop certain abnormal actually behaviors. So that obviously has to be taken care by the treating physician. The problem of epilepsy is most confounded badly is those patients who are having neurological deficit. A child with CP, cerebral palsy and a seizure, a difficult problem to handle. Then recurrent seizures can also lead to brain damage. And then brain damage at time of birth can lead to lifelong treatment. Health insurance is also a problem. However, health insurance in our country only covers 0.5% of the population. It's important that, like diabetes, epilepsy should also be considered as a separate entity, and a person may have a slightly higher premium but should be allowed to be insured. So therefore, they are able to get the insurance coverage if something happens to them by the act of a seizure or by the treatment. The cost factor. The cost factor is very important. However, there are cheaper drugs for epilepsy control, and if you use cheaper drugs for these patients, the drug cost can be reduced to 1,000 rupees to 2,000 rupees per year. And these drugs are rather safe. And WHO recommends for developing countries that patients who have epilepsy can be safely given these drugs by a health worker or a paramedical worker to control the epilepsy in that situation, and subsequently the patient can be brought to a tertiary center or to a secondary center for investigations and the treatment part. Epilepsy India is a journal, and Indian Society for Epilepsy is obviously quite committed to create awareness on epilepsy and to create some reading material for patients with epilepsy, and certainly we hope that in time to come they will be having much more to offer to our patients. Now there are certain myths which I just tell you in short. Epilepsy is not a lifelong disorder in all cases. In fact, the fact is 25% patients only of epilepsy will require lifelong treatment. Remaining 75% patients of epilepsy will be cured within 3 to 5 years period. Then most people with epilepsy are mentally normal. They are not mentally ill. And however, the problem is that only 1/4 patients with epilepsy are able to come to a proper treatment to the physician and to the clinics. Birth defects are very, very rare in those mothers who have epilepsy or who have been taking treatment. Then drugs are never stopped during pregnancy. They are continued because the patient is stopped the treatment. She can have a seizure which can affect the fetus and the child. Then breastfeeding is also permitted in the postpartum phase by the mother. Some drugs come in the milk during lactation period, but drug treatment is to be continued. And some patients who are receiving phenobarbital are given vitamin K in the last trimester of the pregnancy to avoid the hemorrhage. Then disease does not limit your performance to normal working. In fact, many players, many great sprinters, and many great authors had epilepsy, and they have done their job quite nicely. Person can lead a normal life. There is no legal ground for divorce for epilepsy patients, and however, it's important that epilepsy patient should carry a card, I-card sort of a thing, in his wallet, in his purse. So therefore, if he has a seizure, the family member can be informed by his friends or by the surroundings. Marriage does not arrest the seizure. Again, it's important to remember. People say, you marry the girl, it will be controlled. It's not like that. In fact, marriage can precipitate. So it's important that patients, the members of the family, are educated and told that they should be given proper treatment, and the then patient can be obviously married safely. Smoking, alcohol, and stress should be avoided, and quite true for epilepsy patients also as well. Then, epilepsy patients themselves are the best candidates to create awareness for epilepsy. They should be the torchbearer for the disease to other patients, other lay people, so that epilepsy is controllable, treatable, and it's curable. Now, what do we do if the patient has a seizure? Here you can see that patient should be immediately made to lie flat, made to turn on one side. Don't put your finger in his mouth, because if you put the finger in his mouth, he may bite you by a finger because the tongue bite may take place. Or in fact, at that point of time, the patient has a clenching of the teeth, and that can affect or injure your finger. Don't put anything in his mouth. Let the seizure pass on. Epileptic seizure is a short-lived event. It just passes off. Provided, make the patient lie on the couch, lie on the bed, loosen his clothes, remove dentures if possible, and during that time, patient can have a tongue bite, patient may have an injury, patient may have a passage of urine stood in his clothes. Take care of that. And then patient is absolutely fine, but followed by some kind of headache or vomiting. So therefore, he should go to a doctor for the treatment. Remember, the regular drugs, regular sleep are the mainstay of the treatment. If patient is not having proper sleep, epilepsy is one disease which can be provoked and precipitated despite the best possible treatment of drug intake. If epilepsy is the seizure, if the sleep pattern is not properly controlled by the patient, therefore he has to or she has to follow the circadian rhythm of the sleep cycle. He should be in the bed by 10 o'clock in the evening, get up in the morning, and should have at least 8 hours sleep to prevent recurrence of a seizure. Then obviously avoid prolonged television watching and avoid mobile games to watch. Finally, I just give you the short messages is that it's important to educate the people, raise public and professional awareness. Today, 75% patients of epilepsy are cured in 3 to 5 years, 15% may take lifelong treatment, and 5% patients may require the surgical help. A lot of patients do not have epilepsy, so therefore pick up those patients. And the best way out is that members of the family are told when a seizure comes, kindly make a short video clip of the mobile phone and give it to the doctor to see it, and he will tell you whether the seizure was a fake seizure or it was some abnormal other movement disorder. Insist for a cheaper medication. We have a lot of costly drugs also available in the market for epilepsy management. They are good, they have lesser side effects, but those patients who can't afford costly treatment should be given the conventional drugs. As rightly mentioned by the WHO, they say that for developing countries, you freely give the patients Gardner and phenytoin for epilepsy control. Then adequate perinatal care, prevention of head injuries by using helmets, elimination of parasites in the environments, and educate how to prevent the infection are the hallmarks by which we can control, we can prevent the epilepsy in our country and society. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you, Professor Navneet Kumar, for your excellent talk on the disease of epilepsy. The first attack of epilepsy is really terrifying for the patient, for the family members, and even for the onlookers, and visited by a demon or by the evil spirits. But still, the misconceptions about epilepsy are persisting. It is not taken as any other disease like hypertension, diabetes, or heart disease, which it really should be taken as that. The epilepsy can be caused, as Professor Navneet Kumar has rightly emphasized, from any number of etiologies or causes, starting from developmental anomalies to birth injuries to infections, genetic predispositions. But it is very right that a sizable number of our cases of epilepsy are due to preventable problems like road traffic accidents, neurocysticercosis, and other infectious diseases. The role of the primary care physicians and primary health centers cannot be overemphasized, because the patients first visit these centers, these persons, and so they should should acquire more and more knowledge about the epilepsy and should try to diagnose the epilepsy, and if need be, they can be referred to the higher centers, to the specialist. And with the advent of the EEG and the imaging facilities, amenities like CT scan and the MRI, the diagnosis of epilepsy has become that much easier, though epilepsy patients come in all shapes and sizes. They present in a variable number of presentations. So naturally the experience is important. And it is still a psychosocial problem, particularly in our country, and it still carries the cultural and social stigma, not only in our rural areas, but in our towns and the big cities as well. So with the dissemination of awareness, information, etc., this taboo about the epilepsy should vanish over the years. So you have really made, so Professor Navneet Kumar has really analyzed this, this disease threadbare. And I once again thank the learned speaker for his excellent presentation on epilepsy. Thank you.
कुमार जी को एक स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट करें। डॉक्टर उमेश पालीवाल से मेरा अनुरोध है कि हमारे चेयरपर्सन प्रोफेसर एस एन अग्रवाल को एक स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट करें।